Good morning, Storm. Mary here with Hyson Grows. And this morning I just want to talk a little bit about trust the process. Trust your animals to know what they need. We have been on our mineral buffet for I think about 3 months now. And if you don't know what that is, it is 20 individual minerals and supplements that are free choice for the goats. The system's good for all livestock, cows, goats, sheep, whatever, because animals listen to their bodies and they instinctively know what they need to eat to be healthy and to balance their nutrition. I started my goats on the mineral buffet because we were having severe issues with copper deficiency, and even though I gave copper boluses, sometimes that wasn't enough. I didn't like how I had to kind of guess, is this enough? Is this going to be too much? How often should you have this? And with the copper boluses, they also need zinc. Sometimes copper deficiency and zinc deficiency go together. And then I live in a selenium deficient area, so then it was like giving them selenium gel every month, and that didn't seem to be quite enough selenium. So it was just crazy. And I really want to thank Sarah over at Fisher Price Ranch. She's my supplier for the buffet, and she has been really super awesome. So now I want to tell you what's happened. When I first started the buffet, the goats were eating lots of copper, zinc, and selenium, just like I anticipated, and nibbling at some of the other things like phosphorus and occasionally calcium or manganese or something like that. And then about the first part of July, suddenly they started eating the silicon. And we were at that point 6 or 8 weeks into the buffet, and we're still working on our first pound of silicon, and all of a sudden it was gone. And I ordered 5 more pounds, and it was gone in a week. And I ordered 10 more pounds, and it took just over a week, and it was all gone. And it was crazy. And I was like, what do you even need silicon for? And I looked it up, and it's connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, things like that. And this has been going on since the first part of July. This is now about the 15th, 16th of August. And I just couldn't figure this out. And when I made my last order for 20 more pounds of silicone, Sarah sent me a message to call her. And I really so appreciate that. Sarah had also noticed that this was an abnormally large amount for a small herd of goats to be going through this much silicon or any other single mineral. And so she called her rep over at the manufacturer, Free Choice Minerals. And they said, well, okay, if they're pregnant in late pregnancy, they'll go through more minerals. They'll go through more silicon because the kids are growing really fast at that stage. Well, none of my girls are pregnant. They're all milking or dry. And then I have three kids. So that wasn't the answer. But the next answer was mold. Was any feed moldy? And I was like, bingo! At the end of June, beginning of July, we had a lot of rain, and I didn't realize that the tarp over my haystack had deteriorated to the point where the weave had loosened up, and where any water was pooling, it was actually seeping through the tarp into the hay. Now, I did notice that the hay had got wet, and I was really careful to sort through the hay as I was pulling it out to feed. Any hay that was heating up or fermenting or anything like that, I discarded that. It went to be mulch in the garden. But that doesn't mean that there couldn't have been some parts of the bale that had mold, but it wasn't noticeable to me. You know, like it looked okay, it smelled okay, but it might have still had mold spores in it. Also, we have a really deep bedding pack in here. So I have been, you can kind of see the divots in here where I have been working on cleaning out. Thanks, Bambi, for being in the way. Where I've been working on cleaning out the wet spots where rain has seeped in or where the girls pee a lot. That the bedding pack, the old hay and waste might be a little moldy in here, that could be part of the problem. And so we are working on getting this all cleaned out and cleaned up. So I really do trust my animals to eat what they need, to balance their nutritional needs. And because if you think about it, if they were out in the wild, they would instinctively know. They would listen to their bodies and they would instinctively know what to eat. That's not true for all domestic animals, especially like our pet animals. Some of them, we've kind of bred some of that out. But the goats seem to know what they need. Bambi, for example, is a herd queen. And when I bring snacks from the garden, tree branches or Swiss chard or carrot tops or whatever out here, there's days when she sniffs it and she will just devour a whole armload. And there's other times when she sniffs it and she kind of pokes around at it and maybe she takes a little nibble and then she just kind of turns her nose up at it. And to me that says, this is the thing, I don't need this today. This is not what I need to be eating today. And when she's devouring it, that's a thing that it's got something in there that she really needs right now. So I just trust the process and keep the mineral cups with some minerals in each one. One of the things I've noticed since we've got this new load of hay and I've been cleaning things up and everything, that we're eating a little bit less silicon. We're still eating a lot, but we're eating a little bit less, and we are touching the other minerals a little bit more, because there for a while the only thing she was eating was silicon. It was like she was just devouring it like crazy. And this past week that's lightened up and she's gone back to nibbling on the copper and the zinc and some of the other minerals. So we're just just trust the process. Trust your animals. They know what they need. So a little PS here. I wanted to know more about why are the goats eating so much silicon? Because there's maybe mold in their feed. And so I checked out Google, and they wanted to show me a lot of stuff about silicon sealers and preventing mold that way, but that wasn't what I was after. I finally found a research paper talking about using silica or silicon in feedstuffs to prevent mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are the toxins that are made by molds and fungi. And they do use silica or silicon in feedstuffs that might have, oops, I got interrupted by a phone call. So they do use silicon or silica in feedstuffs to help prevent or reduce the toxicity from molds that might be present in them. And so it makes perfect sense to me that when the hay might have had a little mold in it, that the goats were eating a lot of that silicon to neutralize the toxins. So that makes a lot of sense to me, and we are working on getting everything cleaned up in case some of the issue is here in our bedding pack, though I think probably most of it was the feed, was the hay that had gotten wet, and because otherwise everybody is looking really good around here. Like Miss Bambi is just so sleek and shiny and pretty these days. And since we switched to the mineral buffet, her coat is coming in a lot darker than it used to be. Like a year ago, she was very pale. A lot of white hairs along her back. She's still kind of a roan color, but she's really darkened up a lot from where she was a year ago. Just being on the buffet with the extra minerals. And Miss Bean is looking really good. And Storm. And our naughty triplets trying to come over the fence. Yes, I see you. I see you being a stinker. But these triplets have really grown well, and they are really beautiful and sleek and shiny. And I'm really loving the outcome we have with the buffet. So you might want to go check it out at FisherPriceRanch.com and see what Sarah and Brandon have to offer.